It is so important that we have adequate representation of people from different racial and ethnic backgrounds in clinical trials. We first have to recognize that it can be very difficult to recruit Black patients into clinical trials because of a history that is not so positive. But that being said, we have to be very intentional about how we approach these trials because it's to everyone's benefit to have active enrollment so that we can accurately gauge people's response to treatments. So I think there are a few things that we have to keep in mind. First is that people have to be aware that clinical trials exist. So we have to think about how we get the word out. Is it just a sign posted in the back of clinic? Are we leaving it to physicians to decide who to invite into a study? Are we being aggressive with our marketing strategy for these clinical trials? More important than that, we have to think about the trust factor because over many decades, unfortunately, the trust between particularly Brown and Black people and the healthcare system has been eroded. And that's especially true for medical research. And so we have to really be active participants in rebuilding that trust. And a big part of that is taking a good look at the clinical research staff. Is the diversity that you're looking for in your research population reflected in the staff of the people who are going to be interfacing with the patients? That is an easy fix and a first step towards building trust. It's also important to communicate with patients that the purpose of the clinical research is ultimately not for your own good or your research, but because you're trying to improve their health. It's important that patients know that we put their health first at all times. And sometimes, often mistakenly, but sometimes not, patients have the impression that that doctors are trying to further their research more than they're trying to treat the patient. So being open and honest and genuine about your intention to enroll someone because you think that this is something that's going to be important for them and for the community and society goes a long way. There's one more thing I want you to keep in mind. Sometimes people have barriers that keep them from being able to participate in clinical research. Sometimes there are financial or logistical barriers. How much time is this going to take? How many times a week am I going to have to come in? Am I going to have to miss work? Am I going to have to pay for transportation or parking to get there? So I think it's important to think about these questions that your patients are going to have as you plan this study so that you provide convenient hours, you provide an adequate stipend, you address the additional barriers that people might have to be able to participate.